All the lives, all the places.
There we go.
All right. You were having issues?
Yeah, a little bit. How we doing?
Yeah, good. Good. So I wanted to start by riffing a little bit on, well, let's say this. You and I were talking ahead of this, and we're talking like COVID seems to be in the rearview mirror in a certain extent, right? COVID,
Yeah.
the scenarios that it created, all the offline stuff being shut down, done and dusted. Hey, Susan, how you doing? But what I think is interesting to talk about is the lesson that it taught about not having all your eggs in one basket, the lesson that it taught about whether or not you had attention that you owned and rented in abundance before it hit, where you would have been, and how big picture, and I'm talking next 3 to 5 years, it's really the only thing that matters. It's the only thing that matters. It is the distribution channels you own, the attention you own, the size of your email list, and yes, the following you have on social. Because with that, it doesn't matter if COVID comes back. It doesn't matter if race relations deteriorate further and we have more and more and more riots. Nothing matters. You own it. You own your own channel. And it is not something that happens overnight. It is not something that you can flip like a light switch. And the perfect sort of corollary, not corollary, but the perfect, analogy, tangent, whatever you want to call it, are these live broadcasts, right? And I constantly bring up, and I said in the office hours last week, like when you think about these live broadcasts and how they're the future, and you think about the fact that you have 5,000 of them to run, it takes all the stress and the pressure away from number 1 or number 2 or number 3 or number 4 or number 30 and how good it needs to be. But it also properly aligns your mind to where you're going, right?
Yeah.
3 to 5 years of grinding, earn your attention, earn your distribution channel. And once you have it, it doesn't matter. COVID 20 comes, COVID 54 comes, more riots, more whatever, you've got it. You've got distribution. And there's no better time to start than now. That's it.
Yeah. You know what I like, what I'll add on top of that is, just in the experience that we have working with photographers and artists on our platform, and watching the progression, the natural progression, right, of them learning how to run a digital art business, like an online art gallery business, right? The skill acquisition that has to take place, right? You have to learn email marketing. You have to learn Facebook marketing. You have to learn Instagram marketing. You got to learn how to go live and do some, you got to learn there's all these different facets of it. And what's so interesting is that the people who started a year ago are better than the people who just started. The people who started 2 years ago are leaps and bounds ahead of the people who started a year ago, and so forth. It's the sooner you get started, right? Like the sooner that you got started on that, the further along that you are and the more advantage you have over everyone else. And I think that is profound going forward, right? Because there's demand.
Like the prepper argument, right? Like I was a prepper.
It is. Is it not true though?
No. Do you know what? I was such a prepper. I literally had a pallet of paper towels in my garage. I still don't need paper towels. I'm covered. I don't care what pandemic or hits. I got paper towels for years. It's no different. It's no different when you own your own attention, right? It's the exact same thing.
Well, because doing digital marketing and the way that the world is, right? Like the digital marketing is like the only marketing that's even working anymore, right? Like where there's an advantage. You can't do direct mail, right? And things like that. But because it's changing all the time, right? And, like all of these different aspects are changing, and whatever had an advantage before, no longer does in 6 months. And you got to stay on top of that, and you got to build all these skills, right? It's just you realize that the people who are better at these things than others are going to capture the demand, right? They're going to capture the demand. And so if you start working on running your art gallery business online and taking the online market really seriously and understanding that this is where the opportunity is, if you start doing that like 2 years from now, like you're going to be way worse than the person who started starts a year from now, and you're going to be way worse than the person who already started today and the person who started a year ago, 2 years ago. It's not the same thing as just showing up at an art fair down the street where you have parity, right? Think about that. You could just go to an art show down the street. You kind of make, you know, there is some tactical at these art shows. Don't get me wrong, right? But it's just one art show for one day. And so, you know, you kind of have parity with the other people. But when it comes to running an international art gallery business online, like we see it all the time. Some people who come in that legitimately sold in galleries, sometimes in very high amounts, that whole thing got wiped out. They can't get anywhere online. They can't get anywhere. And they're starting from scratch, trying to get things going. And then they start getting things going. But they're it makes you realize they were so much further along in the gallery world, right? Than other people. But in the online world, the people that are doing really well online, you know, they are killing those people. It's like they went from the front of the line to the very back. And you look at them, when we're teaching these guys, we're consulting with them. You realize, whoa, man, you got a long way to go. You know what I mean? Like, you've got a lot to learn to get to the levels that you were selling at in the galleries, you know? And these other people that have been doing it for a couple of years are just way ahead of you. And so that's the reason, that is like the case right there for why you got to get started on this right away. If you take yourself seriously as a photographer artist, right? You can't wait around on this. It's really interesting.
You ever see There Will Be Blood? Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
He was really good in that. Didn't he win an Academy Award for that?
He should have. Method actor, genius. But the analogy, you're like, you know, the ones that are executing, the ones that understand the digital game are sucking the action out of the market, right? Like they're the ones.
Yes.
And it literally makes me think of the scene, you know, in the bowling alley at the end where the pastor, you know, the whatever, like the pastor that comes back in and he's like, Daniel, I finally have this plot to sell you, right? Like I finally have this plot to sell. I've been sitting on the sidelines thinking I have this incredible thing the whole time. And Daniel Day-Lewis is like, I've got a straw, right? Drainage, you know, you're just sucking all that demand out of the market because you understand how that business has changed, right? He's sitting there in the old ways, stuck in his way thinking like, I've got this land and it's just going to produce for me whenever I want it to, right? Like i.e. all the offline, i.e. I do not own my distribution channel sources. And then you, because you understand what this market now looks like, i.e. like the way the oil business is advanced, you've got a straw and you just, you know, I drink your milkshake. I mean, that's literally what it is.
That's right. I drink your milkshake. That's what he said in that movie. I haven't seen that a lot.
Milkshake.
I haven't I haven't seen that movie in a long time. But yeah, that is the case. And it's like we're putting it on a platter for you guys, right? Like we're literally putting it on a platter for you. Like this is where the market is. This is exactly how you build a valuable fine art business. It's right there in front of you. The sooner you get started doing that, the better off it's going to be for you. The later you start, the worse off it's going to be until you know what's going to happen, right? There's all the people all the dinosaurs that are going to wait and like try to hope that they're going to go back to their galleries and their art shows. And then in 5 years or 7 years, they're going to be like, the art market is terrible. It's not working anymore. And it's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? This is exactly what happened in 2008. I've been in the art industry since 2001, right? This is exactly what happened. I watched this all happen, you know, at the same time when people in 2009, 2010, 2011, photographers and artists would tell me, the market's just never come back. Nobody's buying art anymore. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because we were selling at my other company, Breathing Color, we were selling all the canvas and the art paper. And we saw where the market was, right? And so we're like, our business is growing and it's growing online. We know where it is. Are you selling in this venue at all? And no. Well, of course. The world changes during every macroeconomic hit, right? And so the 2008 is a macroeconomic recession. Major shift takes place. You know, people are tightening their belts. They're not, you know what I mean? So what do? They start doing searches online. They're finding better prices and better options. Whoa, I can find this artist right here. I can buy from this guy and this stuff's really good, you know, and I don't need to buy this $20,000 piece, you know, in person at this gallery where it's stepped on, right? All the time. And so people get creative. That was a true, you know, tighten your belt recessionary situation. That's not what we're in right now. We're in like a wealth shift situation, right? Like this is a wealth transfer situation from companies that were companies and workers that were affected by the pandemic to the ones that were not, right? It's and those companies and their stock prices and their employees are getting raises. Their stock prices are through the roof. They're hiring. They're building new plants, and it's been wild for them.
Yeah, and we're sitting here looking at it, and it's like we're to the point and stages in our career where we've seen a lot, we've been through a lot, we've learned a ton of lessons. History constantly repeats itself, and really, at the end of the day, all you're looking to do is have the right strategy, i.e. you're not reliant on sources of revenue you don't control, i.e. you have a digital marketing plan, you understand that things have shifted, and you start working on it. And then the other piece is perspective, right? And I love the driving analogy. And I've given the driving analogy before, but for the last couple of weekends, I've been going to the desert, which is like a 2-hour drive from my house. And prior to that, years previous, I would used to go to the bottom right-hand corner of California, which is like twice the drive to the desert, to ride motorcycles. And when I would do that drive to go ride the motorcycles, I would pass through the desert like it was nothing, like no big deal at all, right? Like rolling. And then now when I start getting close to the desert, I start getting antsy. Like, am I there yet? Am I there yet? Like, God, my back starts shifting. My kids start annoying me. Like, oh my gosh. You even become like mentally fatigued a little bit, right? Because in your mind, that's the drive that you're taking, right? And what no one understands is how important the perspective piece is, right? And Lisa's got slow and steady. Every artist, now I've got this vision in my head of like the vast majority of artists and photographers are looking to the pot of the gold at the end of the rainbow, right? What do we know? There is no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Actually, there is. There actually is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. The problem is the drive to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is a really, really long one. It's a really, really long one. So if you're in the car and you realize it's a really, really long drive, your perspective is aligned and you're going in a good roll. What does everyone else do? They take an hour drive. They get out of the car and they go, pot of gold around here? Anyone got it? And then they get frustrated because they didn't find it and they give up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or drive again for 3 months, or maybe they take another hour drive and then they take 15 little hour drives and they just, I can't find it. I can't get it. It's like, no. If you want the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, get in the car and come driving for the next 5 to 7 years, because that's where it is. That's where it is.
Exactly.
And even 7 to 10.
Yep. And that's in any business, in any industry, right? It's in every business, in every industry. And it all comes down to the mindset. And so, you take 10 of these, you take 10 artists and photographers, put them in front of me. Okay. Show me their art. Like, let's say average art to incredible art. Okay. I will invest. And you say, Nick, you got to invest in one person, right? You got to invest in one. I will ask them that question, right? And the person who, I will invest in the average artist or photographer all day long over the artist or photographer with incredible art. If the average one has the right mindset about how long it takes and the type of work that they have to do to just build a business, right? It's not just build an art business, build any business, right? Because that's the guy or gal who's going to win. Period. I know what the talented one is going to do. In fact, I almost want to stay away from the talented one. You know why? Because they're privileged, right? Like, they are entitled. They're like, I am so good and everybody's told me I'm so good that I should just be able to make one post and send out one email and I should sell $10,000. Otherwise, this doesn't work, email doesn't work, art doesn't sell online, or this business is blah, 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 right? All the excuses. And I see it all the time. Do you know where we see it a lot? We actually see it with artists and photographers. Like, during this pandemic, it's like a visceral thing that's in my head, is the ones that were selling in galleries, right? They were selling in some galleries, thought they were big shots, right? The galleries closed, they got the rug pulled right out from underneath them, and then they start doing some digital marketing, selling online for the first time themselves. They've never done anything, never built a social one, never sold direct to their customers, right? And then they try for like a month and they're like, wham, instantly. doesn't work, da 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 da. And then you look at what they're doing and you're like, everything you did was literally awful. Like you have no idea what you're doing.
You're literally
awful. Like you're the worst person I've ever seen at digital marketing. Your expectation of what they're talking about, oh, well, everybody likes the posts. And it's like, oh my gosh. You know, if you still think that likes on your post matter for your business, you have bigger problems than anyone, okay? You got to get that stuff into email addresses to turn that into leads. Likes, as you say, right? You can't pull money out of the ATM machine for likes, right? You got to, or follower accounts, right? You got to turn those things into actual leads and sales. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying though? It's like, so the privilege, the entitlement of, you know, people that have really good art, like maybe sold in some galleries. I hate to say it, but they've got like 20-pound weights on their ankles, dragging to try to do this. Like it's going to be hard for them. So if that's you, I got to tell you, you better come in with a beginner's mindset to building, you know, your own art gallery business, because you just don't know how to do it. You just don't. And the sooner you realize that, the better off you are. There's a member on our platform that I had to have a talk with about this. And he's like, you know, he's got good work. He's a photographer. And he's like, he's one of these people, right? Who had that mindset. And I had to talk with him, and I said, and he's like, you know, the social media, it's not working, you know, and this and that, wham, right? Basically like wham. And I talked to him and I said, I want to tell you something. And it's going to be very hard to hear. Okay. There are photographers and artists who never sold anything before. Never, ever, not in a gallery, not anywhere, who joined art storefronts after you, like in the last couple of weeks or the last month or two, and they're beating you. And he was like, jaw dropped to the ground. I'm like, they're beating you. They're beating you. Like, how do you explain that? And you know what he said? He goes, Nick, thank you so much for the kick in the butt. You're right. It's totally in my head. Yeah, it's totally in my head. I'm gonna try to turn this around. And I'm like, I hope you do. I don't know if you will, because it's poison. It's total poison. You know what I mean? The poison of thinking that it's gonna be easier for you, you know, because you've sold in galleries. You have to learn the skill set to sell direct and build your own business. You know what I mean? Like, and that takes time. It takes time.
Yep. It takes time. You have to have that perspective. You have to have the right plan.
You have to.
Executing on it.
Yep. You just got to execute on it.
Anything else, we need to make that, like, you know, we have these lives more than anything else to just flesh out our thoughts, see what we're learning, look at our customers' businesses and non-customers on the calls. And it's like, you know, the same stuff just keeps bubbling up. It just keeps bubbling up. Exact same themes again and again and again. And getting emotional about where the attention is a damn consistent one too, right? Like, you know, case in point, the gentleman you talked to, like, no one cares what you did before. Social media, whether you like it or not, is where the attention is. You go to where the attention is, you acquire more of it, your business grows. That's it.
Yes, exactly.
Not any more difficult than that. And sitting there and getting emotional about it is a recipe for disaster. Thinking that just because you don't like it, or someone's told you that it's ineffective, or because you tried it with the wrong strategy and got nowhere, is self-limiting belief that will kill you. It will kill you. So
for sure.
You know, not getting emotional about where the attention is, having the perspective of how long it takes, realizing it's a bunch of small wins that make the big ones, realizing how long it'll take to get to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Like, you got to get started right away. You got to have the perspective. You have to have the right strategy, pressure over time. And we sound like a broken record on it, but I don't see any reason to stop. It's the same medicine that we're eating.
It is. Exactly. And for those of you who just, you know, who are hearing this, it's like changing your mindset to have the right perspective is like, that is one of the biggest things that you could do. You think that like painting a new piece is like the thing that's going to take you to the next level, or one magic marketing tactic. Actually, it's fixing your head most of all. That's what we see, right? Because it's misconceptions that what happens is they start messing with your mind. You start getting depressed about it. Like, you think that you're a failure. You know, you think that things should happen fast. You have total wrong information in your head about the timing of things and how quickly successes should happen. And then when they don't happen, you're like, You're so bent out of shape about it. It makes you miserable. It makes you demotivated. But that was all based on a false premise, right? It's like if you talk to any other, if you knew that other successful artists and photographers went through the exact same thing and it took longer, you might be like, oh, I didn't realize that this was actually going to take that much longer. I was just whining and complaining and getting like all demotivated really for nothing. Like, I mean, you could have talked to one of these people and they could have told you like, hey, if that's what you're going to do, just don't even do it. Right? Just don't even do it. Don't even bother. You're just going to like, if that's your expectation, like you're just going to be here. I'll predict the future for you. Here's my crystal ball. You're going to be miserable in 1 month from now. You're going to be miserable in 90 days from now. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so easy to predict. So if you can fix that, you're on such a better path already. And the other thing is too, is that like, you know, there's so many people that we see, this is the other pattern, just sitting on the sidelines, right? They've been an artist or a photographer for many, many years. They're hung up on details and details and details about whether it's this or that. And it's like, you got to just go.
It's all got
to be perfect. What do you got to go. If you don't get in the game, you're not building leads. You're not building a following. You're not doing anything. You got to get in the game. You got to get whatever is in your way. And you don't know whether you're going to launch limited editions or originals or open editions, or you're going to sell them together or you're pricing. Just go. Please just go. You got to get in the game. You got to get it in.
You're on the sideline on your couch in your living room, drawing up all your wonderful plays, but you're not suited up. You're not at the stadium. You're not
in the game. Yeah. And you know what? Nobody
on the field. It turns out you got to be on the field to score any goals.
And let me tell you, whatever pricing you choose is going to be wrong first. I don't care what it is. It's going to be wrong. You're going to end up changing it. So just launch, right? Whatever your setup is, you're going to change it, because the market, until you get the feedback from the market, that the market is the ultimate truth. You got to get to that market. If you realize that, you realize like, oh my goodness, I need to get to the market fast, because I'm just in my head and I'm like talking about, do I need an LLC, or can I just launch right now? Do I need sales taxes, or can I just launch right now? Do I need open editions, or should I just launch? Do I need do I need all these different categories, you know, or can I just launch? You need to just launch, because the feedback from the market is you need truth. You need truth, and we need truth. That's why we tell, you know, our members, the Art Storefronts members, like, you got to launch, because you're asking us a question we can't answer. We'll give you a general, like, yes, that's fine, go. Because we need you to launch, and we need to see what happens in order to figure out what the next move is. There's going to be, there will be a fork in the road, right? 3 moves. We will know which one to take, but if you got to ship it first.
Yeah. Everybody's looking for the secret map, the secret guide, right? Like, you know, just tell me what it's going to be. And, you know, it takes a good deal of experience to realize, like, no one can tell you.
No one can tell you. It's the wrong question.
Yeah.
It's the wrong question. Anybody that answers your question you have to realize there is probably an 80% chance they're wrong, right? Including me. And I've been doing this for 20 years, right? I will generally give you some good idea, but what I know the right answer is, I know how to get to the right answer, right? So you want an answer to your question. I'm actually answering your question, because the right answer is, you need to get your stuff in the water. You need to get in the game, and we need to iterate, and we get the right answer in 3 months. And that'll save you for the next 5 years. That'll get you on the right path for the next 5 years, right? That's the answer.
It's the game within the game.
It's the game within the game, right? It's never the question that you think you need to answer. It's the question behind the question.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So we got a private member workshop at 1 o'clock in 25 minutes. So I got to grab some lunch, but you know what? You know what I love about this is that, what are we focused on? Lead acquisition, man. It's the best, right? Lead acquisition. That's right. Everybody needs more traffic. Everybody needs more eyeballs. And that is the focus today, because we just finished the Father's Day marketing playbook. That just finished. Everybody's been running it for the last 2 weeks or week and a half, right? Just finished.
Acquisition.
Closed all those sales. Everybody's closing. We're back to lead acquisition and romance marketing, right? So all the members that are on this, make sure you're there today. It's going to be great. And we're back to lead acquisition, because you got to get more eyeballs. You got to get more, build your audience, get more emails. That's how you build your business. So I get excited because I love this part. This is the part that nobody focuses on, you know, outside of art storefronts usually. They're always focused on, you know, they make a social media post or they tinker with their website, but you got to get a lot of people seeing your work. You got to get a lot, and that's what we're focused on.
Yep. Game on.
All right. Oh, wait, let me say a final thing for anybody that's looking to join Art Storefronts. The summer sale was announced today, right, for June. We've got a summer sale. So get a demo request in on Instagram, link in the bio. On Facebook, there's a link in the post. You can always just go to the website. There's always a request a demo button in the right-hand corner, and hit that. Get in the queue. Don't wait till the end because we get booked up and the spots get taken. So if you want to join, it's a great time to join. So highly recommend doing that. And one of our people will reach out to you when you request a demo, answer all your questions, and go over pricing. And tomorrow we will be having a session, right? What was the time? Is it, it's 3 p.m. Central, is that right?
Yeah, 3 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, so that's for non-customers, and get on our email list and like us on Facebook. But we will be doing a Zoom call for non-customers to actually talk to you directly about why your art business is not moving forward, right? We want to talk. Let's talk. Let's figure out, why is it not moving forward? Why is it not getting to the level that you want to get it to? Maybe you've hit a plateau, you know, and you can't get to the next level. What is it? Or what are the details you're getting hung up on that you think, you know, you need to settle before you can get in the game? Perfect questions, perfect roadblocks that we can help you with. So if you're not an Art Storefronts customer, come to this session tomorrow. We can help.
Yep. Done and done.
All right. We'll leave it there. Thank you guys. See ya.